Welcome to the Grounds for Success podcast. I'm your host, Austin Seltzer. Together, we'll unveil the keys to success in the music industry. Join me as I explore my guests' life stories and experiences to uncover practical insights to help you align with your goals more effectively. Hey, coffee drinkers. Welcome to the Grounds for Success podcast. Today on the episode, I have one of my closest collaborators and a great friend, Bardo. Bardo is in the band Beauty School Dropout, and if you haven't listened to their music, you really, really need to. I love it. I get to mix and master everything that's coming out now, and I have been for a little while now. I love these guys to death. Today's conversation, you will see, is hilarious at times and incredibly insightful at others. Bardo's a hilarious dude, and our chemistry on camera and mic was fun to listen back to make this intro. So I can't wait for you to hear that. At a young age, Bardo was already into music production. I think he said either from 3 or 4 years old, he was sitting with a laptop, and it could have been a little bit later, but he was producing in the back of a classroom while his mom taught at Colie. And he was just put into music from such a young age. Like, this is what he wanted to do. So his skills obviously are ridiculous by this point in his life. We are going to talk about how Beauty School Dropout has had such a meteoric rise in such a short amount of time, kind of like all of the intricacies of the members and how they cultivated their talents and their network. And whenever they came together as a band, it took 2 years to get to this point. And before this interview, they hadn't gone out on tour with Blink-182 and Turnstile. And at this point they have. But 2 years it took to get to that. And that's it. And I think it was a perfect culmination of so many different things that really just didn't include luck. It included all of the hard work that they put in before meeting each other. And then, of course, after. We're going to talk about Beauty School Dropout's brand and how the fans resonate with this band because of the message that they give off. I think that's so important to how big they have gotten. We are going to talk about a really great story on how your energy makes your day and how that came into Bardo's life and how he uses it now daily. We're going to talk about a funny story about how Bardo almost got kicked out of Belmont University in Nashville. And we are going to talk about how OCD, anxiety, and depression are something that Bardo deals with, but especially out on the road whenever they're on tour. It just amplifies those feelings and how he deals with that. It kind of goes hand in hand with how energy makes your day. We're going to talk about Lauren Gray and how he met her and how he was the EP on her album that I got to mix and master with him. Obviously, it brought us much closer as collaborators and just really knowing what each other is looking for and what they do. And I think it really cemented our relationship because it's just so many tracks after another. And it wasn't something that was from his band. So, it's just a different angle, a different lens. And I love that album. And we're also going to talk about the success or Grounds for Success future, like what it could look like. And he just spitballed some ideas, and I thought it was really fun, so we included that. All right, let's get caffeinated. Bardo, super awesome to have you here.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Of course, you're my best man.
That's right. Am I gonna be the best man in your wedding? You don't have to answer that.
Look. Here's my actual philosophy on that. It's fucked up to choose a best man or a best whoever. Like, do you actually have a best friend?
A lot of pressure. No, I don't. I actually thought about this recently. I think I randomly had this thought. I don't know why. I was in Texas. We were playing a show in Texas, and I was like, had this thought. I'm like, I want my manager, Alex, to be the best man in my wedding. And I'm just like, I told him, I'm like, hey, I had this thought. Well, I'm not getting married. I'm not like, there's no.
Yeah, why did that come up?
I don't know. I think it was more just the vibe. I was like, daydreaming about shit. I'm like, damn, I just realized he'd be a good best man because he's so good at like orchestrating shenanigans and like the days. And the best man, that's like their responsibility, is like being the orchestrator of the day and like the vibes. You know what I mean? That's kind of part of it. And I feel like he would just be really good at that.
That's actually so interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I've never thought of it that way. I've always thought of it as the best friend. Damn, I've been in a box this whole time.
Of course,
like,
leave it to me to think about logistically. Who would conquer the duties the best? But I mean, also Alex is one of my best friends in like in the entire world. Like, so he's definitely, I thought about that. And also I feel like that's an easy cop out. I feel like the easiest cop out is like, I'm gonna choose my dad or like my brother as a family member. And I could see choosing my dad. I'm gonna have multiple best mans.
That was my philosophy. I was like, do I have to choose one? Why can't all of them be my best men?
Best men, yes. Well, you kind of have your panel. You get your like your board of directors up there with you.
But also, like, why can't I have some women up there? Like, if I have some best women friends.
True.
I don't understand.
Yeah, we gotta call someone about this.
Okay. let's have some coffee.
First sip reaction.
So I made Bardo basically I'm just going to laugh and call it famous black coffee mixed with unsweetened oat milk that I whipped. You know,
You whipped it?
I whipped it. I whipped it into shape.
Okay. And how you asked me, you said, hey, Bardo, do you like your coffee for the utility or do you like your coffee for the taste? And what did I say?
Well, you said that you don't like the taste of black coffee, but you love the utility. So it's like this.
But I like the taste of coffee when it's paired with a creamy substance.
Oh yeah, that's true. And
it becomes nutty to me.
Yeah.
Nice and nutty and a little like chocolatey.
I felt like it had options as to what creamer to put in there.
Yeah. This is busting.
Busting at the seams.
This is really good. This is really good coffee. I wish you could try this.
Well, maybe one day.
Grounds for success. Busting.
Damn, I'm going to take that clip. That's for sure.
Zipper. Insert zipper.
Busting. Zoop. Wow. Damn. I need to have you as my marketing director for Grounds for Success.
To be honest, yes, you do. And I would love to be that. I would love to fill that role and that hole for you. So, yeah.
Is everything an innuendo or am I just fucked up in the head?
Pretty much. That's me. I can't take anything seriously. But that's also why I think I'd be probably a good marketing director, because I think you got to be a little fucking weird to have. Everyone wants crazy ideas, and you got to be a little bit crazy to give crazy ideas.
I think to be an artist too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's really it.
To be honest, that's a Kanye quote, but I stole it. You know?
Yeah.
You can hear
He's the kind of crazy that, I don't know, we need.
Yeah, he's a little off the rocker. He's a little canceled right now, but it's okay.
Yeah. So, to rewind.
Yes.
All the way back. Let's go all the way back.
Okay.
How was life growing up? You grew up in SLO.
Yes. Grew up in San Luis Obispo, California. If you don't know what that is, it's not St. Louis. I'm not saying St. Louis. I'm saying San Luis Obispo. And it's 3 hours, 3 hours north of LA, just up the coast, basically central coast of California. If you look at a map of California, it's right in the, have you been there?
Mm-mm. No, I've always wanted to.
Right in the, if you're driving to San Francisco, you drive through it.
Okay, then I've done it.
It's basically, how to describe it, imagine Santa Barbara. You've been to Santa Barbara?
Mm-hmm.
Santa Barbara, which is the MILF capital of the world. Second to, San Diego, different type of MILFs in San Diego.
What's the difference?
San Diego MILFs, I would say, are a little more beachy. I would say there's possibly more, it's like more rich MILF vibes in San Diego. And kind of like almost Trump MILF vibes, but like low key. And they all, it's a vibe. It's a kind of a vibe. You see, it's like rich surfer dad works for Rip Curl or some shit. And then the little prodigy son who's kind of a little fucking douchebag who's like 7 and is really good at surfing. And you kind of want to kick him in the nuts, but you can't because he's 7. But he's kind of a cock. And he bullies you. And you're an adult.
Why
and
do I
you're
have
being
an
bullied by a
exact
7-year-old?
image?
Right? Super, right?
Yes.
Right? And he's tan. And then there's the mom with a nice trucker hat, super milfy, big old mom car. Did they vote for Trump? We don't know.
Does she bedazzle her Von Dutch hat?
Yeah, there's no. These are more like casual. Like, oh, just grab my quick little like fucking Roxy hat,
Okay.
out for the day to get me coffee with the gals. That's God. I'm stereotyping so hard, but that's San Diego milfs. I would say Santa Barbara milfs are a little more. I would say a little more like yoga-y. I think as you go north in California, the spectrum of hippie becomes a lot more prominent. It's like the California, liberal spectrum.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like I feel like Southern California is actually a lot more Republican than it's weird, which is you think, oh, beachy Southern California, carefree, rock and roll, but it's like there's actually a lot of Trump supporters.
Oh yeah.
Like down south. It's kind of weird. And then you go up north, and then all of a sudden there's hippies. And then that's where I land in the hippie realm. But
Are you a hot
I'm a MILF.
yoga?
I am a MILF. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that, but I actually am a MILF. At least that's what I identify as.
Yeah.
So
I saw you on the brochure for a yoga place, facility up there. It wasn't.
You really looked into the work. That's actually, I was really proud of that one.
Oh, dude, you were bar none like the best stretching MILF.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, lesser known aspect of my career, but important nonetheless. But anyways, I divulge. I'm from San Luis Obispo, California.
That whole thing.
Holy shit. Oh my God, this podcast is going to be wild. I'm from San Luis Obispo, California. And it's kind of Santa Barbara. And it's like Santa Barbara, but it's a college town. Grew up. I'm just going to fucking plow through the rest of this. My life growing up was not a very big music scene in San Luis Obispo, but there was a creative scene nonetheless. But it's a small town. It's like 50,000 people-ish. And a lot of those people are college kids. Because there's a college there where I think it has like a 20,000 person attendance. I could be massively misquoting these numbers. If I am, I'm sorry. Fake news. But anyways, the point is, it's like the scene that I grew up in was pretty small, and like it was me and like my handful of friends that like kind of were like the music scene in our high school. And so it was this kind of weird thing to go from that and like you're like the big fish in a really small pond of like, yeah, like I'm doing music, whatever, fuck. And then I moved to Nashville for college. I went to Belmont University, a small private Christian university, which I'm kind of the antichrist. So like me showing up there was like awesome. and almost got kicked out of school. Had to like fucking work my way back in.
We gotta cover that at some point.
We'll get in there. We'll get there. Yeah. Stupid shit. Nothing bad. Like just me vibing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just the Antichrist doing his thing. You know what I mean? And then they weren't super into that. And then and then I ended up dropping out and moved to LA. But like going from Nashville from San Luis Obispo was like a crazy jump because it just was like, oh shit, there's more than like 12 kids doing music. And like all of a sudden you're thrown in this world of competing with everyone for something, you know what I mean? And I think that was the first time I learned like, okay, cool. Like I'm looking around me, there's peers. I have to like, it's not just like I make a beat for and like try to impress a cute girl I like at school or like whatever. It's like, oh shit, no, I'm like, this is like career shit. And this is like, if I don't crush this, there's 3 other people who are in the same classes or doing the same shit, going to the same parties that are gonna crush it. And I'm pretty competitive in that sense. But it's weird. I'm not competitive, but I am competitive. I just love to like do the best work I can. And I love to crush opportunities. You know what I mean? And I think that just, I kind of flipped a switch and I was like, okay, cool. And it was a great like kind of stomping ground for then LA. When I moved out here, I was like, and I honestly kind of built a network somewhat of like, I learned the logistics and like of how to do sessions and run sessions and how to like, navigate somewhat in the music industry. So when I came out to LA, I was like, okay, a little more easeful. And I'm still navigating. I'm still learning how to do things. I'm still figuring out how the hell to make songs. You know what I mean? I think that's the beauty of music is like we don't ever stop learning. We're always figuring out new ways to do it.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
So to go back and talk about your family life growing up.
Yeah.
How did your mom and dad, and maybe the music that they listened to, and just like things that you were subjected to early in life?
Good question.
Yeah. How have they kind of like continued to, I don't know, make Bardo who he is?
To be honest, I owe so much of my success to my parents, I would say, because I think early on, music was never seen as this thing that like, oh, like, are you sure you want to do music? It was always just like, yeah, of course you're doing music. When I was 1, my dad might have told you the story already because you've met him and he loves the story. But
I already know the one.
Yeah. It's when I was 1, I got a neighbor came over and just like gave me a ukulele randomly. He's like, wait, hold on, I have a gift. And he just came over randomly and gave me a ukulele, and I held it properly and started jamming on it. And I think I just was kind of always fixated on music and rhythms and sounds and like creating sound and like just enthralled with like, how the fuck do you make these things come to life and then become songs, you know? And obviously when I was 1, I don't like remember this entirely, but I do remember, I remember always being around music and like rhythms and whatnot. And my parents will tell me it's like, I would just kind of write these songs. Like I could barely speak, but I'd have a song called 98. 98, 98. And I would just like yell words, but strum this thing. And I just like the words that I fucked with, I would just kind of like strum and sing, but like from a very young age. And then as I got older, it never really went away. It was always just like, yeah, I want to do music. And then I think I distinctly remember hearing the song called He War by Cat Power, if you know Cat Power.
I don't.
Kind of how do you describe Cat Power? They're like, it's one woman, I think she believes she identifies as a woman, but, and it's kind of folky, but like grungy, but in just very like beautiful music. But I think early on, I believe like her first whole album was just made like on GarageBand with GarageBand loops. And actually this song, I think the riff in the song actually literally was a GarageBand loop, because when I was a little kid, I would fuck around GarageBand. I'm like, wait, I know that loop from GarageBand.
That's awesome.
But it was like, I remember hearing this song when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 or something like that. And for some reason, I have this memory of just like hearing this thing and be like, God, it literally is a drug. Music is a fucking drug. And I just like, you just get this feeling of like, fuck this. You know, you hear that song that you sound so good in the right moment and everything lines up and it hits so perfectly. And because sometimes it doesn't always hit. You have a song that you could love and you hear it again in a different context and it doesn't hit the same. But when it all lines up and hits the same, it just like is the best feeling. And I remember having that. And then I was just like, I need to do this. I need to figure out how I need to be a rock star. I want to make music like this. Like I have to like this whole fucking vibe. It just like opened up. I don't know. I just like always was like obsessed with it, like obsessed with music and like how to recreate the sounds I was hearing. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I had GarageBand from a young age. So like literally from like 5 onward. Like I would literally, my mom's an architect. So I would go with her she was a professor of architecture at Colie in SLO. And I would go with her to class at a really young age, like 4 or 5. And I would sit there and she's like, okay. And her students would like, oh, look at this little fucking goober running around. And they would sit and I'd be like, I want to make music. And they're like, cool. And they'd put me on a little like Mac with GarageBand. And I'd sit there and just like fuck around with loops.
Amazing.
Well, like she was teaching and shit like that. And it was like, that was like my daycare. And I just, so that is a big thing. The fact that like they just prompted, it was always creative. I was surrounded by creative people. My mom's an architect, like one of those creative people I've known. She's very much like me. She's always thinking of things and like designing things. And I also was exposed to a lot of music. Like that's how I found He War by Cat Power. Because my mom and her business partner at the time would make each other these like CD mixtapes when they would like work. They'd like do like, let's have a work meeting or like drafting session on their fucking designing buildings and shit. They'd come over and they would just like sit there and play the Strokes, you know, Arcade Fire, Death Cab for Cutie, all that shit. So I grew up on like alt rock and just like, that's how I found all this stuff. And then my dad is a fucking wild character and he's like me just on fucking crack and just like, he's always taking me to music festivals. We're growing up and just always dance sessions and just like whatever. And just like, I was always exposed to just avant-garde, different shit, I think from a young age. It was very like not a cookie cutter childhood. And I just kind of, so I'm fucking ranting. I talk so much.
No, I mean, this is all the juice that I know that people want to hear.
Yeah. Even just the mechanics of learning to use a computer. There's some people, I have friends now who are just like, bro, how the fuck do you even use a computer? And I'm like teaching them. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? But I'm like, oh yeah, I've literally spent probably a majority of my life on a computer. And if it wasn't producing music, I was like learning about, I love technology. I'm super into like technology. I love like the whole fucking tech world. I like my whole news feed is just like AI shit, tech stuff. I love like staying on top of all that stuff. So when I wasn't doing music shit, I was also like researching like tech stuff about like different processors in computers, how to like optimize speed on shit. Like I remember I was like got really into PCs and I was like building my own PC like when I was like 10 or something like that. And I was like figuring out like, okay, what I need and like bootstrapping it all. And yeah, but even that, like I was just tinkering with that shit. The access, which I feel very grateful that I had access to that. I was lucky to have my mom, even the fact that she was on a Mac even, because if she was on a PC, literally if she was an accountant, she probably wouldn't be on a Mac. She like would be on a PC, but she was an architect and they use Macs in her classrooms. So I was go to her classrooms when she didn't have daycare and I would just fuck around on Macs and learn how to do shit.
Yeah, that deepens the outlier.
It's crazy actually to think about that. That literally, mom, it's my mom,
Yeah.
So
and then your dad, PJ, told me a story about how whenever you were basically a baby, he would rhythmically bounce to the music and that he imparted the rhythm into you from his bouncing. So whenever he watches this, shout out PJ.
No, I got a lot of that too from him. Yeah, like he took me to things that were like very esoteric. I got all my esotericness from my dad, for sure. It just like the wacky stuff. My dad has taught me always how to look at life differently. When I was younger, sometimes it was even embarrassing or like scary. Like, so I see all my friends doing normal shit. I'm like, Dad, why are we going to a nudist bathhouse on the cliffs of Big Sur when I'm 7 years old?
Dream, by the way.
Yeah, right. I'm like, why I want to go out and be doing what the normal kids are doing. Why am I going out to this fucking spot or like and doing these breathing rituals and like dance, interpretive dance sessions? I'm like, I don't want to be here. And it was scary when I was growing up. But then like as I get older, I'm like realizing, then you like come to and you're like, oh, that actually was so fucking lit. And then like looking, I'm like, even now I'm like, thankfully I didn't like repress it. And like, even now I'm like, I love that shit. I go to these things on my own volition, you know what I mean? And I'm like, cool. I want to do weird shit and like push the envelope,
Yeah.
So it's cool.
I mean, we'll get into this later, but that's very much from my angle, kind of the DNA of Beauty School Dropout.
Yeah.
Is that vulnerability and doing things that I guess were against social norm, but now are just really cohesive in the way that at least people in I don't remember the sliding scale that you talked about of California.
Yeah. What is BSD to you? I'm always curious. People are like, because it's so funny. People are like, what is it to other people? You know what I mean? Like, what do you see BSD?
For those listening, BSD, Beauty School Dropout.
Yes.
Bardo is the guitarist, producer, writer.
Blondie.
I'm
the resident blonde boy.
Yeah, but now we got Beepus who's...
But he's not a natural blonde.
Oh, there you
Sorry to expose Beepus. He also shaved his head.
He did,
so,
but it's blonde.
Is blonde, but I mean, come
on. What is Beauty School Dropout? That's a very deep question because you guys aren't just a band. That's for sure.
It's a lifestyle.
I mean, you're laughing, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Is it not? It's be the person that you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Meant to be, the person that you feel that you are, be that person unapologetically. But you guys are into fashion. You're into the Web3 stuff, which we can talk about, but also it's a different world now.
Yeah.
You guys are about to go out on tour with Blink. So you're people who are living your dream, because that has to be a dream, and Turnstile. You guys are...
It's a wet dream.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's crazy.
There's no way that 5-year-old you smacking on a computer...
Dude, I feel so grateful that we get to do this. It's like, it hits me in waves. It's like weird talking about it. And then I'm like, oh my God, we get to do this. Think how many bands there are in the world. There's like at least like 40 bands. And they probably want to do this tour.
At least 40 bands?
Maybe 40,
millions.
Maybe 45.
45 bands?
There's probably like 45 bands.
There's, I think, millions. Millions of bands.
Really?
Yes. Look, I think that you guys are a safe place for... Get out of here. You guys are a safe place for fans to be themselves. And you are the conduit for those fans to feel like they can tap into whoever they are.
Yeah.
You guys are idols to people who want to be unapologetically themselves.
Yeah, I love that. That's cool. That's great to hear. That hearing that makes me feel like we're doing something right. Because that was always the vision, is like how to be. It's weird because it's this weird thing of like, I think in our day and time, day and age, there's so many different, almost like there's a rule book for like how to be different, how to stand up for something. And it's like, okay, like be gay and be loud and be like, I don't know, be like dye your hair. I don't know. Do all these things. It's like a rule book of like, okay, here's how you be different and stand up. And it's been this weird thing for us because we're just like, sometimes I'll find myself being like, am I like weird enough? Am I gay enough? Am I funny enough? Am I like esoteric? Like, am I doing weird shit with my hair enough? Am I like, should I be wearing more makeup or like going over the top on shit? And then I realized I'm like, no, because my only job is just to be myself. Like that's the goal, is like just to literally be myself and be confident in that, like leading by example basically. And it's like, whoever you are is fine. If you're straight, if you're gay, if you're fucking want to dye your hair blue or pink, or fucking just be natural with your hair, or shave it, or fucking whatever you want to do, whatever you do with your life, how you spend your time, it's just like, it's fine. There's not really a rule book. And like, I think I'm learning that more and more, of just like truly just being who I am and just leading by example inspires others. And I think that's cool. So it makes me really happy to hear that's kind of what you get the vibe. Because I mean, that's always been our goal with the whole thing, is like, yeah. And I think honestly, I'm so grateful for the dropouts, because that's what we call our community of supporters. And because a lot of them have really become friends to me, you know, and especially like as we're touring more, it truly, like, it makes me realize we do more of this. It's not for me anymore. It's like so not for me. It's for everybody else. And it's like, I'm going to start crying thinking about it actually. But like, it's this crazy thing when you start to meet the people that resonate with this art that you create. And it's like, they come up to you and they're like, yo, you guys are my favorite band. Or like, you guys like have helped me through this thing. And like things that like, I could never have, like, that was like, I could never have thought of like these moments specifically when you're creating the music. And then someone's like resonates with it so much. And then you meet these people and it's just like, this song brought us together. Like, you guys are here at this show, we're all hanging out. And it's just like, I don't know. that's to me is the most rewarding thing out of all of this. And it's like getting to connect with people. And even something for us, like as we grow and do like more like our own headline stuff and step in the world, like meet and greets and everything. Like, I just want to always be doing things differently. And like, I don't want to do the standard, just kind of like meet and greet shit. I want it to be a culture, and like, fuck the whole like step and repeat like photo line. I hate that shit.
Yeah.
I actually get so bummed when we do it at our shows, because when we're on the opening tour, we go out and we meet everyone at the merch booth after, and it bums me out. But doesn't bum me out because I have to meet everyone. It bums me out because of how I have to create a new okay, cool, refresh, new person, hey, hello, new person, hey, hello. And it's like,
right.
I would rather just be in a room with everyone and get to talk. I really love after the shows when we go out to or like leaving, we go to the bus and everything, and like there's people waiting for us, and we're like, yo, what's up? Like,
yeah, at the Santa Ana show, dude.
Yeah,
I mean,
Santa Ana
because I
show.
got to see that one. Holy hell,
Yeah,
there were a lot of people waiting.
Yeah, and a lot of them are there for Jaden too. But then there's our people there for us too, and like, and getting to get to talking to everyone in a more candid way, and like we did that. We were played. I think it was Oklahoma, or where was it? I can't remember what show it was, but I think it was Oklahoma, and just getting to like talk to everyone. And we literally for 2 hours, I stayed outside and just talked to a bunch of people, and just like that shit to me is so fun. And what we want to do with our meet and greets, with our headline stuff, is just like create an environment where it's like, even if it's less people, like 20 people, but we like, it's an environment where it's like, hey, let's have food, let's have drinks, let's like connect with each other and talk about things. And like, we're all people. That's the thing. It's like, we are all people. And I just want to be like, level the playing field a little bit. And it's like, I don't feel like I'm like, I don't want to feel like I'm more important than like someone who's there, like, it's like, hey, we're like, it's cool. It's a cool feeling to have someone like, you're my idol. It's like, I love that. I appreciate that. And also it's like, I wouldn't be here without you. So like, I respect you in the, same
Absolutely.
way.
I think that mentality right there is the modern day rock star.
Yeah.
It really is. In my mind, it's not about, I'm going to put myself on a pedestal and you can't really talk to me or socialize with me, because that was what a rock star used to be.
Yeah.
I think that being vulnerable and allowing people into your life and treating them just like you would another human, another bandmate, your dad, whoever it is. I mean, that's a rock star. That's like actually changing somebody's life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, think about that. Meeting someone and you're not a douchebag to them. That goes a long way. And of course, there's times too where I'm just like, I've dealt with my own mental shit, and like I've had times this last tour where like I just like had to like step away from like the meet and greets or whatever. I'm just like, yo, I just have to like get away, just dealing with my own stuff. I think that's also fine too, but just like being say, hey guys, I gotta step out for a second because I'm also human. And it's not even like a thing of like I'm holier than thou, or like it's just like, respecting yourself. I think that's also, everyone needs to just, hey, self-care mode,
No doubt.
Is that something that's also kind of tricky too? It's like, as you grow, it's like, as we grow, there's more, everyone wants like hey, they want to talk and whatever. And it's like, I love that. And there's sometimes I'm like, yo, I just need to like pause, deep breath, and then to get ready to go in and like do it again, so.
Absolutely. I think that this is where the main question of the podcast kind of comes in, and we'll get to explore this. But for you, for Bardo, what does success mean?
For me, success, okay. It's a journey. First of all, success is a journey. In a nutshell, if I was just reading the back of the book on success, flip it over, what it says is success is not a destination, it's a journey. And I think in our world, we love to create success, that idea of success as, hey, when I am successful, like when I get there, like, oh man, when I'm successful, all this is going to be different. And like, I owe this to my dad for helping me reframe this idea. I'm still reframing this myself and like still practicing this, trying to get better, reminding myself of this. But success is not a destination. It really is a journey. We are succeeding. Not like, oh, I want to be successful. It's like, no, we're succeeding right now. The fact that we're doing this right now is succeeding, because we could not be doing this. You could not. Look at what you built here. This is a beautiful podcast. Last time I was here, this wasn't here. And it's like, you could have the mindset of like, oh man, when this podcast is successful, like, it's like, no, bro, it's successful right now. Look at what you're doing. And I struggle with this too with the band. It's like, oh, when the band is this, when the band is that, when we're doing that. It's like, what the fuck am I talking about? Literally, at the end of May, I'm gonna be playing Madison Square Garden. And it's like,
unreal.
And that is succeeding. And you can still have goals beyond that. It's just easy to get sucked into the idea of like, when we're there, there's that carrot is never going to go away. There's always going to be another carrot. We're going to sell out Madison Square Garden one day as a headline show. And then we're still going to be like, okay, now what do we do? There's always going to be another thing. And I think enjoying that journey, enjoying the moments where like, hey, I get to hang out with my friend and talk about shit like this. That is success. You know, getting to have that weird rainy day in Chicago, you know, before your show and fucking be drenched in the rain and you're kind of bummed about it, but it's like, that's success because you're in Chicago doing shit. And it's just like enjoying those little highs and lows and like the journey of everything. So I think that's what success is honestly like, if you can have fun doing what you're doing, you're successful. I don't care what you're doing. You can be a mailman. And if you're like, I'm loving what I'm doing and I'm happy, bro, you're so successful. I know so many people that are crushing it and fucking sad. There's been times where I'm like crushing it and people are like, oh my God, congrats. And I'm still sad about something. But it's not like, it's just my own head. And it's a fight. It's like your success lies within, truly, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's perfect. And I feel like you were telling me that. I know that people are listening to this, but that's really advice that I need to just somehow instill in myself. Like I do remind myself of that, but I oftentimes find myself chasing a carrot.
Yeah. We all do.
Yeah. But then at that moment,
and look what you're doing, you know? Look at this. Bro, I was amazed when I walked in here. Like, how the fuck did you have the time to do this, bro? This is like one of the craziest setups I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And the fact that you've just been building this silently behind the curtain. Like, last time I was here, this was not here. And I'm like, so impressed. That is success. There's so many people say, oh, I want to do this. And they just don't do it. And you're doing it.
Thank you.
So cool.
Whenever I'll have a moment every now and then where I'm like, oh, why didn't I, like, I'll see somebody mixed a track and I'll be like, oh, how did I not get that? I know everybody on this project, that's like totally my sound.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have gotten that. I quickly remind myself like, dude, 1 year ago, if you would be looking at yourself today, you'd be like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get there? It's just realizing like, damn, 1 year ago, you guys were in such a different place.
Yeah.
There's no way 1 year ago you guys thought that you were going to go on tour with Turnstile and Blink-182.
A month ago, I didn't think we were.
Yeah.
I truly did not think we were. Because obviously, for those who don't know, we're signed to a label called VerseWire that Mark Hoppus is a part of. So Mark is technically our A&R. And he's just been an amazing mentor and just guiding light in our world and just, you know, friend, honestly. And even though we have like our connection, people would ask like, hey, are you guys going to be touring with Blink? And I'm like, dude, I was like, no, I don't think we're big enough. Like, we still have growing to do, which we do. We still have growing to do. And I just did not think it was even on the radar for like, you know, it was a possibility, vague possibility. Like, okay, yeah, but like, I'm not going to like count on it by any means. I just was like, yeah, it's fine. We'll get there eventually. And then we were sitting at a KOA, which is like a little campground, like RV park thing when we were on tour.
Yeah.
Because we'd like on our off days, we'd like take the whole touring rig there and we'd like post up and grill out and whatever. It was a vibe. And we're sitting there and it's like 11 p.m. I think we were like fucking Virginia or some shit. And Alex, one of our managers, comes in to the RV and he's like, yo, Mark is pissed at you guys. And we're like, what? And we had just had an A&R call with him that day and he was like telling us he was very proud of us and really stoked at what we're doing. He's like, yo, Mark is pissed. And we're like, what? What do we do? And Cole's high and he's just like,
oh shit, the paranoia.
What? And we're like, okay. And he's like, you guys, we got to hop on a Zoom right now with the label. And it's like 11 p.m. our time, like 9, like our label doesn't fucking stay up for shit like this. We're like, oh, this is serious. We're like, okay, let's hop on Zoom. We're like, fuck, what could we have done that pissed off Mark Hoppus? We're grilling out in fucking Virginia in the forest. Like, oh, God damn it. Okay. And we're like, hop on Zoom and the whole label's on there. And they're like, guys, this is really bad. And we're like, what is happening? And then Nick, our other manager, he's like, Sherry, who's the CEO of the label. And he's like, Sherry, do you want to tell him? And Sherry's like, yeah. She's like, well, boys, Mark is pretty mad because you guys are going on tour with Blink-182. And just like lose it, like just start screaming. We all started crying and just like, and then it was just a crazy dream come true. And I just so did not expect it. And just like, yeah, it just was an amazing moment. It doesn't even feel real. And I just feel so grateful. And just like I was saying earlier, think how many bands are in the world that would just love to be doing what we're doing. And it's kind of ties back into what we're talking about. It's like, even in those moments, like, and even now I can still find myself getting caught up and like, well, I could be doing this. I would like, what am I, bro? Like, life is okay. It's good. Like, we're all riding this wave together. And at a certain point, you just got to let go and just lean into it. And it is coming at you, and just let it happen, you know? And it's like, I just feel so lucky and so grateful, and just that we get to do this. And like, truly it is a dream come true. And I'm just so thankful for the journey. And like, eventually we're going to be selling at Madison Square Garden, and it's a journey. I was actually talking to MGK the other day. He was at the last show of our tour with Jaden, because him and Jaden are really tight. And I walked off stage, and he was there, and we dapped each other up, said hello, and he's like, "Hey, dude, congrats on the tour, the Blink tour." And I'm like, "Dude, thank you." And we talked to him a little bit about like, yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like, I'm feel super grateful, but I also am very much ready. Like, we have a lot more work to do, and I'm ready for it. And he's like, dude, he's like, it took me 11 years to get to the point where I was selling out Madison Square Garden. And it's crazy. You think about 11 years, that's a long fucking time. And then, but it got me excited. It didn't scare me like, fuck, I have a lot of work to do. It's like, actually, I'm like, oh my God, I get to do that. If our first show was 2 years ago, we get 9 more years to fucking have fun and do this shit. Honestly, maybe sooner. Maybe in 3 years we'll be selling at Madison Square Garden. But it's like, whatever it is, I'm like, that excites me. I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking cool that we get to do this for more time. And
Absolutely.
I think that's, if you do something you love, you get excited for it. And I just want to make the note. Sorry, I'm ranting again. I want to make the note. You can chop any of this if you want. Fucking just, whatever.
I'll chop everything that you've set out.
Just me sipping coffee, zipper, and it ends. Another thing I want to add, which is very important, and I want to just, because comparison is the thief of joy, and it isn't always fun. Just let that be known that, like, even though our lives and like things we do and people's life, whoever you look up to, it could be us, could be someone else, whoever, it's not always fun and games. Like, even I see you, I'm like, damn, you seem so content. You're like crushing it. Like, sometimes I even find myself like, oh God, like what a fucking legend that guy. He's probably so stoked. But like, even you just expressed to me like, oh, you compare yourself to someone else. You see that they got a mix that you wanted. And it's like, comparison is the thief of joy. Everyone deals with that. I deal with that on a daily basis. I see something else that someone else did. I'm like, God damn it. And as easy as it is for me to say like, oh yeah, we're just here. And it's like, as long as you love what you're doing, you're like, you're gonna have fun. It's like, yeah, that's so true. But like, the challenge is loving what you're doing. And even if I literally get to make music and create with my friends, but like, there's logistics to that. And like, okay, figuring out like rehearsal times, figuring out like, oh, weird, awkward label calls where like they want to go one direction, you want to go a different direction. Oh, that was weird. We have to, this photo shoot, but we don't like the photos. Okay, we have to edit them. Oh, we have to pay this fee for this thing, and all these like other things. And like band disagreements, we fight like fucking brothers. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not just all fun and games. And it's like, that's something I want to really reiterate is like, but like, it isn't always fun, but having fun in those shitty moments and like turning it around. And that brings me to my quote. God, I'm a fucking psychopath. I feel like I'm on a TED Talk. I'm literally like, it's like, give me a clap.
We're getting
cut me off whenever you want.
We're getting a little ounce of what the mind of Bardo looks like.
I just think like this all the time. I just constant stream. My next point here is your energy makes your day. Can I go pee?
We're back. Bardo.
Austin.
Explain it's cool because it's like mirrored and somehow the shadow is casting perfectly on your sign.
Yes.
So that, because it's like yin and yang.
I think the funny thing is I think the light is shining on the part that's upside down.
It is.
But okay.
There's light in the darkest places.
That's right. So here is my little thing that I wrote down. I wrote, your energy makes your day. And I love that you do this, by the way. This is really cool. I'd like to have, it's a cool little segue. Great. This is a genius. Austin is a genius. Your energy makes your day. I met a woman in Cincinnati and randomly at a taco restaurant, as you meet people. Her name is Q, and she's this great, just like mid-40s. She was just there, and I was ordering, and she just recommended me something, and she just kind of had a good vibe. And she's like, oh, you gotta get this, you got this. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I got a side of guac, and she's like, oh, like I want a side of guac, and I'm like, I got you. And I just got her side of guac, and then we continued talking, and then she's like, oh, you gotta try this other thing. And she buys me this other thing that she like wanted me to try. And I was with me and our drummer Mike, and she just exuded this such great energy and vibe to us that just felt so welcoming. She was there alone. We were in Cincinnati. We were alone. We were on tour, and it just kind of like shifted my energy so much. Where like before I was like hungry and kind of like, oh, like what am I doing? And then just had this kind of great interaction with a stranger, and she stops for a second and looks at me, and she's like, am I making you happy? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you are. Like, and she's like, good. Like, she's like, it's like your energy makes your day. And I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And it's this thing, like you've heard this a million times, like choose happy, you get to decide how you affect others, like treat others how you want to be treated. But just the way she said it just kind of struck home for me. And it's like, your energy makes your day as a mantra. And after that on tour, because this past tour, I've honestly one of the more strenuous on me for my mental health and like my OCD. I struggle with like really gnarly OCD and anxiety. And it brings up a lot of issues like with depression and stuff like that in me. And for whatever reason on tour, that gets like amplified because there's a lot of highs and lows and like just crazy shit happening all the time. And some days I just like wake up, I'm just like so not having it. And that as a mantra for me has been really amazing to just wake up and first thing I say to myself is like, your energy makes your day. And I think practically how to apply this is it truly is just as simple as like, if I come into a space and just first interaction with you, I mean, you and I, if I show you love and show you like, hey, I'm going to give you good energy right now, it just hits me right back and it just reflects right back onto me. And it's just like, how can I do that in more ways in life? Like carrying that into the studio, and like, or if they're with an artist, how can I like create the energy where like my own energy truly makes my day, and it ideally is going to exude out and affect others that way. But it's like, if I just exude good energy and even in gnarly moments of just like, okay, I can choose to be operating at a higher frequency right now. Even if shit is all hitting the fan, I can choose like, you know what? We're going to be positive. We're going to exude higher energy. And sometimes it's fucking hard. It just shifts things, And it's just like, that is a mantra and as a little reminder, it just is rad. And I've just been saying that to myself and it really has been awesome. And then, like a month later in the tour, she calls me randomly because I gave her my number and she calls me. She's like, hey, just was thinking about you. Just wanted to like check in and like see how you're doing. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is so dope. And she's like, oh, cool. Well, all right. I'll talk to you later. Bye. I'm like shit like that. I'm like, fuck, that is so cool. It just felt like kind of like an angel experience. Like you just meet someone that just like drops some, knowledge bombs on you. And it's like not even that profound of a thing. Like choose happy, be happy. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. But it's like, it's just like with energy. And I'm a big believer in energy and frequencies. And like truly that is everything is frequencies. Like music is all frequencies. And it's just like how I show up in every room. It's for different frequencies, and I think we are attracted to other people who operate on a similar frequency. So I just want to try to operate on as high of a frequency as I can. That's why a big part of the reason I don't drink and smoke and party and like, I want to be on a different frequency. And I, find myself gravitating towards others who are also on that frequency. So, yeah.
I love that. That she sounds very special. Like, honestly, I'm certain that this won't be the last time you'll get a call from her, and it'll probably be in the perfect moment when you needed it most.
Your energy makes your day.
I love that. I think the next thing that we should dive into is kind of figuring out maybe influences, but kind of how you really got into music production. I think we should talk about you dropping out of Belmont and also almost getting kicked out.
Kicked out, yeah.
I'm sure that those kind of go hand in hand with production, but yeah, I'd love to hear some early influences, I guess, on you and how you decided. What first, did you decide to be an artist first or a producer? And we can go from there.
Both, I think. Well, where to begin? I think I always wanted to be an artist. And I think as I'm evolving, I'm like realizing I'm an artist of life in a way. Like, I don't know. I always wanted to be like, when I was growing up, I was a singer in all the bands. You know what I mean?
I had no idea you could sing.
I mean, I could do it. I'm not like an amazing singer, but like,
I love that.
But I think it was more, I was the leader, and I was like leading the charge for the bands I was in. And I was like, that's why I kind of became a singer. I was like, cool, like this is what we're going to do. And then I realized I didn't need a bunch of people to make music. I could just produce myself. And I'm like, cool, love that. I can do that. And then I was like, I'm just going to be a producer. That's what I want to do. I want to like bring ideas to life for other people. And then when I met the boys and they want to do Beauty School Dropout, at first I was like, nah, I'm not down. I don't know if that's what I want to do. And then I realized that was a massive gift for me, getting to do it with them and just being thrown into the whole situation. Cause it's like, I didn't realize I was missing that, like the artist side of things and like being my own, like entity is like beyond just a producer. I think that's also this kind of interesting thing too with our band is like, it's very boy bandy. You know what I mean? We each have our own, like have our own personalities and like the dropouts can like gravitate to their fave. You know what I mean? I got the Bardos. Shout out the Bardos.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
also Bard Toes I saw at one
and
point.
Bard Toes. Yes.
Yeah. That's
right.
Okay.
We do the Bard Toes enjoy a lot of feet content. So, I try to give them what they want. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have great feet?
Your vibes, your energy is making my day.
My caffeinated energy.
Yes.
So really, okay, I'll ask one pointed question. What is the story of how you almost got kicked out of Belmont?
One time I changed a construction sign to say "Caution, dildos ahead." that was the goated moment. That was the best. It made the news the next morning. Oh yeah, made the news the next morning. That was fucking ideal.
We need to put that in the show notes or something.
Yeah, remind me. I'll find it. Beautiful, beautiful photo. I was drunk and we tried to do it and we're like walking to Taco Bell and I'm like, fuck, it's locked. And we're like, there's a password. I looked up a PDF of the manual and on my walk to Taco Bell, learned how to operate this thing and figured out the fucking override password through the manual I found online. So when we walked back, I'm like, guys, I got it. And went in, typed the password and it worked. We got to the admin override and it changed the thing to "Caution, dildos ahead."
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure the password is just password. So if you ever see one of these things.
That is incredible.
It was crazy. And yeah, and we changed it "Caution, dildos ahead." And it was perfect because it was like on the way, like a very busy street in our hometown. It's high school shit, you know what I mean? And like the next one, everyone's like going to work and doing their fucking thing. And just like, it made the local news because it said, and you remember the chive?
Oh yeah.
It was on like the chive too. And like, it was like this big thing. And like, literally it was like, construction sign says "Caution, dildos ahead." Like what the fuck? That was the most 17-year-old shit ever, but honestly, classic. Long story short, that was high school. Then I was doing shit like that, taking that mindset into a small private Christian university, basically. And it just didn't mesh. I got in trouble for like, had a girl in my room past a certain hour and like kids would tell on me and shit like that. I got in trouble for drinking. So I was already like kind of on like, I had like a couple strikes or whatever. Then somehow they picked me as a welcome week leader. Like when I kind of was like as a meme, I was like, I'm gonna like try out to be Welcome Week leader. Me and all my friends did it.
I'm so confused why you were the pick for
They,
this.
we had like 5 of us all go out for it. They only picked me, and I'm like, what the?
They were
fuck?
trying their best to get you roped back into being a good boy.
And I'm like, what the fuck? Like they just vibe with me. I'm probably because I'm like charismatic and like, I mean, I'm a leader. Like I love leading people. I love that. I love like taking people down. Showing them paths and whatever. I just had a different set of objectives with my leadership. You know what I mean? And so they picked me as the Welcome Week leader, and they gave me a bunch of new fucking kids to romp around with. And I just told them straight, I'm like, look, guys, here's what this school is like. Here's what it's. I just was real. I'm not trying to fucking sugarcoat it for you. And they fucked with that because I was real with them. And then I was like, they wanted to go party. I'm like, okay, if you guys want to party, you guys can come over to at that point I had like apartment style housing, whatever, on campus. I'm like, you guys can come over and like we can, drink before whatever. Because they don't really know what to do. I'm like, let's do it safe environment. We'll hang out. I'll monitor everyone. Cool. It's good. And then I had like some of the Welcome Week kids over. Where it was like, yeah, like just hanging out. They were gonna go walk to a party. I was just gonna like, be the big bro. Nothing like crazy. I'm not like doing drugs with these fucking kids or like.
I mean, basic college shit.
Like actually being more responsible. Like I'm not gonna let people binge drink or like get fucked up beyond like, or like I'm the guy. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make sure if you guys are gonna do it, I'd rather you guys do it with me. You're not alone in your dorms drinking alcohol. Like, let me like be a guide or like, or just be like, I don't know, a friend to you, an older kid being a friend. And then I don't know. Oh, I think when the kids came in, they had like check in at the fucking thing and like they smelled alcohol in them or some shit. And like, then they came in and rolled all of us. And I was like that. And at that point I was just like, that was my last strike essentially. And I had to go to see the executioner where they were like, yo, are you a fucking dickhead? And like, I basically had to present my case. I'm like, look, I'm not a bad kid, like at all. I'm just doing normal kid shit. I'm 19, just hanging out, doing normal college shit. And like, here we are. And I think
I'm going to a university that specializes in music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that we're all sober, like,
yeah,
or
exactly.
I mean, like, we drink.
Exactly. Just life shit. I'm like, look, I'm learning. I'm doing my thing. I'm not a bad kid. I'm just like doing my thing. And so after that happened, she's like, look, I'm going to put you on probation for the school. And if you do anything else, you are gone. Like you're out of, like I had to like, if I had presented a bad case, she could have just kicked me out of school right there. But I like petitioned for myself. And then she's like, you're good. You can stay. And after that point, I was like, cool, I'm moving off campus. I just moved off campus and continued the shenanigans. But then shortly after that, I actually kind of like stopped drinking and like, I just realized I'm like, I just don't really care to party anymore. And just like, I just wanted to focus on more music shit. And like, so I didn't really learn shit from Belmont in terms of like, well, I did take a class on compression. That was
a class?
Literally entire class on compression and gain staging. That actually was the biggest thing I learned.
Wow.
Gain staging, which is so important.
Totally important.
Gain staging is massively important.
Very interesting that there's the whole class on that when now we can watch a YouTube video.
Yeah. I could have also watched a YouTube video on it before. I just wasn't even aware of like that. And that would really open up a lot to me is like the gain staging compression. It honestly like changed my world after like that class, but that was really cool. But other than that, all the other classes, like I wasn't really learning shit in them other than just like busy work and just whatever. It's like, okay, cool. Here's fucking, and my education came from outside the classroom.
Yeah.
Of just being around other kids doing shit in the music industry and like learning how to finesse and just that was the real education. So
for sure. Yeah. I didn't go to Belmont. I ended up going to the Blackbird Academy, 6-month kind of intensive program at Blackbird,
which is also Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so, for those who don't know.
Exactly. It's a 6-month program. I lived there for a year and it was just in studio, basically all day, every day recording.
Yeah.
But it is completely what you do outside of that.
Oh, totally.
Of where you learn.
That's the thing is we put this massive emphasis on education in America where it's like, but our education is shit. I feel like I hate our education system. It's trash. It doesn't make any sense. And it frustrates me because I think there's certain areas of it, like Yeah, you want to be an accountant or a doctor? Okay, cool. Go to fucking school. Get your fucking education. I don't care. Whatever. Do the thing. Creative shit and like, honestly, even a lot of other things like why the fuck are you paying for school for this shit when you can just go learn it on YouTube or like just learn it by doing it? Like an internship is so much more valuable. But the problem is it's a scam and it's a fucking gateway. It's like, hey, you need to pay this fee to get your foot in the doors, then you can go be taken seriously at an internship. It's like, oh, so you're saying literally the only reason you're gonna take me seriously is because I fucking paid $50,000 a year just to get my foot in the door?
No doubt.
It's so fucked. And it's like, that is America in a nutshell. I fucking hate that so much.
Same. Yeah. I really think I'm not gonna like put my foot down on it like 100%, but any creative field, I think that if you have to go to school to learn, you probably aren't going to have the tenacity to make it in that field.
Oh yeah.
Because it
It's
all
like
is relying on you.
Yeah, you put the autopilot on and you're like, oh yeah, I'm here. It's easy to get like, oh, I'm in school learning. It's like, well, are you doing anything with this?
Right.
I know kids who like got out of school and they're like, what the fuck am I even doing with this? Or like, I don't even know if I want to do this thing that I just spent 4 years figuring out, and career change and shit. And it's just like, and the fact that we put an emphasis on like, yo, you're 17, pick your fucking career now. Versus like, hey, why don't you just go vibe out for a while and figure out what you want to do? What do you like to do?
For sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
But
well, so to pivot away from this,
Yeah.
but kind of stay on the same thing, is the other question that I asked is like, whenever production, I think that you're probably making your living early on or within the last couple of years, probably on production fees,
yeah,
right?
production is definitely like the main source of sauce for me for sure.
Yeah. And so how did you pivot to that becoming your main income? Because I'm sure that people listening, there are probably tons of people who want to make a living producing music.
Yeah.
So how does it go from a hobby to being an income to being a real career?
It's time, and like and passion. And when I moved out to LA, so when I was in Nashville, I was working for Red Bull, so I had a different job. I was like, I was a fucking Red Bull girl when I was in Nashville.
Yeah.
So I was in school.
I had a bunch of friends who were kind of the college rep. Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sweet gig.
We honestly
Great
probably knew a lot of
networking.
the same people, maybe.
I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll go to that. But
Great
anyways,
networking.
yeah, oh, great. Learned how to, actually, that was amazing because I learned the nuances of big corporate businesses. And Red Bull actually gives you a lot of freedom. Like because I wanted to throw parties and shows and shit like that. And like, they literally let us plan events and fly Red Bull Records artists out to throw these events that we were hosting because they knew we had ins at the school and we could basically promote these events within the college campus. And we do the collab events with Red Bull. So I learned all how to navigate all these scenes and get brand sponsorships and shit like that. And like, that was an amazing experience for me to just like do that. Red Bull's fucking awesome. Like, honestly, a really cool company.
A lot of very successful people I know in the creative field have a tie to Red Bull.
Yeah.
Red Bull does an incredible job at like chipping away, like making an art piece out of just a piece of marble. Like, I'm sure that really helped.
Yeah, well, I think they also do a great job like hiring up. They love to like, if you start from college, like there was always an emphasis of like, hey, you could start here and I could end up like a marketing high up executive from passing out Red Bull in college. They love to hire up like from within the company, and they're building up people versus like, oh, we're gonna hire this guy from Pepsi or we're gonna hire this guy from fucking whatever. And like they love to just like build you up, and there was always this emphasis of like, hey, if you can lead and thrive, do it. And I loved that environment, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna lead, and just like, let's do stuff, let's fucking crush it. So anyways, so that's how I was making money in Nashville. Moved out to LA. When I moved out to LA, we had
Wait, why did you move to LA from Nashville?
Because me and my roommates in Nashville were just like, we need to go and just next step. We were just all kind of like, two of my other roommates had also dropped out, and it was me and there's two of us in school, two of us out of school, and we're like, fuck it, let's just dip. And we dropped out and moved out, and we just knew LA was like where shit was happening, you know, and we just like ready for the next step. I'm like, what? We could stay in Nashville and stay in this bubble, or go and push ourselves and like we were ready for something scarier. You know what I mean?
What year was this, by the way, in Nashville?
2018, May of 2018.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. A little after my time.
Yeah. So we packed up and drove out, and it was a little easier, obviously, because I'm from California, so I kind of had like I understood the California lifestyle, and like, but LA is a whole different world too, and like it was scary, and like we just needed to be in an environment that was a little more uncomfortable. I'm like having flashbacks, just thinking about, I'm like, oh my God, it really, honestly, was really scary, like crazy, and I understand how daunting that can be, but it's like taking jumps like that's the first step. If you're a producer and you're like, yo, I want to do this, like just take those steps, like do those giant steps, like get out there and do it. And also LA is like not that much scary. Like it's just like you go to Chicago and do shit, or you can be in LA and do shit. It's like, it's not like unheard of to, you know, to just come out to LA. Yeah, it's expensive, but like they pay more for minimum wage here. Like they'll pay you more to do shit because they know you need to pay for stuff. And it's like, granted, yes, it is expensive, but it's like that's just kind of part of the whole thing. Anyways, when we moved out here, and took that just kind of like that jump, we had this idea for this company, where basically it was like taking beats, where the kind of the Netflix model for like for artists, for like, you know, if like I want to watch a movie, I could go rent something from Blockbuster, or I could go to a library of digital stuff and I could like download a beat and use it, or Splice, a good example. They had a network of samples, or like a whole library of samples. We wanted to make a library of actual built out beats that you could use, because it was the Beat Stars. You could pay like $80 for a beat, or $300 for the exclusive license, whatever. Why not pay
the YouTube type beats?
Yeah, exactly. But why not just pay a subscription to get access to all the beats? And we're like, no one's doing this. Still to this day, no one is doing this. And so we started doing it, and it was started to work, and then we just were doing that for a while. And so that was kind of the first thing. We kind of like ventured into like, I don't know, a bunch of other little elements of it. And then after a while, it just kind of like, I think that we like kind of lost the drive for it. It was requiring like, we were all also doing other stuff at the time too. And like, I was also like my own production stuff, because I was also making all the beats for this thing. And then like also producing for like other people, and like getting my, I always wanted to be a producer. I wanted to like, I didn't just want to do this. I wanted to like produce big artists too, and, you know, do the thing. And it just kind of like, we kind of found ourselves like drifting apart, and this kind of like whole things we kind of like put on hiatus, and then we're like, all right, it didn't really kind of come back to it. But with that being said, I've just kind of like, I don't know, like found myself making it work. And there's been hard times where like, what the fuck am I going to do? Like, oh my God. And luckily I've just made it work, and just like, I feel very blessed that I get to do what I do. And production's weird, because like you like won't get paid for like months, and then you could do one thing that pays out a lot, and you're like, cool, okay, great.
Yeah. And
then now you're good for like the next couple months, and then you're like, okay, got a next thing. And like, I don't know. And I think it's just everything you do builds up your price tag. You know what I mean? And I think, so I guess advice for like a young producer, just like get out there, do it, and just like network and talk, just say yes to stuff, and also say no to stuff. If you like truly, you don't want to do it, don't do it. But also you never know what you're going to get. Like,
for sure.
Because as much as I want to say like, be wary of saying yes, follow your gut, but also like be open. Like that's how I met Cole. I went to a event that my friend, she was like, her friend was playing or something, and I went with her downtown at the Row. And after, I was like, cool, I'm about to go home. I'm just like, you know, whatever. And she's like, no, like, come, there's a rooftop thing, after hours thing. Come with me to this like sunset rooftop event. It's a private event. My friends are playing. And I was like, I kind of want to go home. And she's like, come on, just stay for like 20 minutes, whatever. I'm like, all right, fuck it. Go up there. First person I meet is Cole. And he's like, talking about music. He's like, I'm going to come over the next day and write. I'm like, cool. And he comes over and brought Beepus with him. And here we are.
So
like,
for those who don't know, Colie's
the singer
of
yes.
Beauty School Dropout.
Beepus is the bass player. And we have our drummer, Michael Rose. And
insane drummer.
Yes, one of the best to ever do it. And yeah, I just like, So in that moment, like I didn't want to do it, but I did, and I'm now here we are. And like so.
Yeah,
You never know. You just
you're so right about you never know.
you never
And
fucking
honestly, in the beginning, you should really not think about no unless it is giving you the like that pit in the stomach, like I should
follow your
not do
gut.
this.
Follow your gut. If there's nothing saying don't do this, if something is saying, yo, don't do this is sketchy, don't do it.
For sure.
Like I've learned that. But if nothing's saying no, and you're just like, oh, I'm tired, like, you never know who you're gonna meet. You know what I mean? And just like be kind to people. Be kind and just like you never like it just goes. It's time. It's like literally like you gotta be a cockroach and just like not give up and just keep fucking going.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah,
and show up.
Yeah.
I think that the LA scene in particular, because I can't really talk about others, it's so based on people recurring seeing you like over and over, and they're like, dude, I see this guy everywhere. I got to talk to him.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, what's your name? Something like that. If they see you out, maybe you don't even have an interaction, but they feel that you are a part of the culture.
Culture. And also remember, everyone is just as scared as you are. That's a big thing
so
too.
True. Yeah.
Like everyone wants to be the cool guy, and like in LA, everyone walks in a room and is like, okay, he's a fucking cool guy, everyone. But it's like, dude, everyone is just as scared as the next person. And like the best thing you can do is just talk to someone, be friendly, and say, hey, dude, like I love your jacket, love your outfit, and like watch their energy shift from like, oh my God, thank you. Because I bet they were fucking self-conscious about that jacket before they left. Like, oh, this doesn't look good or whatever. Mm-hmm. Everyone deals with that shit. Every fucking person. And I think that's like a big thing to remember. It's just like be kind and just genuine with people and, be human.
Yeah. So whenever you had this business, this rent beat business, you said that you were working on your own productions.
Yeah, I was always like doing sessions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
the whole while. And
how were those coming in? And I'm sure it's
just meeting people. Talking. Yeah, through friends and just like I don't know, and a lot like I wasn't really making a bunch of money on them. I'd make a little production fee here and there, like also knowing your worth too. Like cool, like doing sessions, but also be like, hey, like if we use this song, like I need to get paid for it, and like being upfront and communicating that, and like I had to learn how to do that shit, like.
I think that's one thing that most producers that I know, and that some of those people are very big, have a very, very, very hard time saying like, I have a production fee, it will be so-and-so. Yeah. They wait until the very last minute whenever the artist and team are now scrambling to get the song mixed, and they're like, hey, by the way, this is my production fee. And at that point, I personally think that's a little too late.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to go into it. I've started now, like, I have a manager now. I don't like to talk money with artists.
Same.
And thankfully, we have managers that do this, which is great. So we just get to vibe and talk to each other. And I love that our managers just talk money and stuff. It's beautiful.
I linked Alex the other day up with Spencer. Yeah. So Alex and Spencer's my manager. And I said, I'm just linking you two daddies up in text to talk numbers. And then I was like,
and I think that's just such a better way to do it. And so, but I will say, like, sometimes I'll have the conversation like, hey, listen, like, because sometimes they're friends that hit me up, like, hey, what do you charge for, like, like this and this, whatever. And I'm like, look, I'm saying this to you honestly as a friend, like, this is what I would normally charge someone. Like, maybe I would like to, hook you up. But I'm also like, if I'm putting work into something, the same way that if I reached out to you and said, hey, I want to make sure you get paid for something too. You know what I mean? So, and then from there, I'll just like pass it on to my managers to figure out, and I'll, and just like, they can talk about everything. And I like the degree of separation, but I think it's also really important to be upfront and like, hey, this is what we're working with here. Cause you're right. It's too late. If you like go through the whole thing and then it's like, okay, cool. Now I need to figure out the fee. And sometimes it just is like that. Like different artists carry different like stipulations. Like major label artists, like everyone knows there's gonna be a fee, and like I think you can discuss that fee later on. But I think also it behooves the producer to discuss it in advance too,
for sure,
low key, because I've also found that like if you wait too long to discuss the fee, even with a major label artist where everyone knows there's going to be a fee involved, you could get there and then they're like, when it's so late in the game, it's easier for the label to be like, actually, we're kind of like going lower on the budget on this one. We're going to pay you, half what you normally would expect. Or if you go in saying, hey, FYI, I'm worth this much. Like, this is what I normally charge, just so you guys know. It it behooves you, the producer, to be more upfront because they're like, okay, cool. This is what we know we're getting.
Yeah. I resonate with that way more. Like, of course, I'm not the label with the budget, but as a mixer, just like how it goes is if a mix comes to us, we immediately say it will cost X. It will cost this much.
Yeah.
And if you want to move forward, that's what it is.
Also,
and
music, just sorry to cut you off. Music is a weird thing too. Actually, you finish your thought, then I have a little thing to add.
I mean, that's the thought on the mixer. And with a producer, especially if it's with a label, if you throw out the number that you would charge, so they come to you and they're like, this is the artist and we want to get you guys into session. So it's like, awesome. Would love to do that. This is Bardo's rate for a production right now. And these are the points. Like for those of you who don't know, points on the master. So Bardo would make a royalty on songs that he has produced. Just saying that up front, and they're like, damn, for this song, we have a little bit less than that. Is that okay?
Yeah, you can figure out, you can kind of talk numbers in advance.
And that means that they are interested in still moving forward. But if they're like, wow, that is so far out of our price range, well, then you know it's probably not worth your time. Or then you are like, you know what? I really want to work with this artist. We're down to go that low.
Yeah.
But then at least you have an option and there's not this weird moment where you're like, oh shit, are we going to be able to finish this track at the final, the finish line? And then now you've put in all this time and love and effort into a track. And now if they're like, oh man, we don't nearly have that money. Now you're left with a sour taste in your mouth. You're like, fuck, I put so much time and effort and love into this song. And now I feel like I'm being strong-armed.
Yeah.
But if you say it in the beginning, you actually have a choice.
That's so true. Yeah. And music is also weird too, because the way you get paid, it's like, if I was an architect and someone came to me and was like, hey, can you design a building for me? Draft up some ideas for this design, And I'm like, cool, yeah. I draft up a bunch of ideas. Even if they don't use those ideas, I would still be sending an invoice for giving them my ideas and my time. Music is not that way. We could go and have a whole session and write a song, and then at the end of the day, like, cool, I don't want to use this. You're like, okay, that's fine. And of course, as you get bigger, like as you grow, like there's gonna be a certain point where like I'm going to just be like, hey, you just need to pay me. I have my day rate of just like, you just got to pay me just to be there. You know what I mean? But it's this weird thing of like you have to earn that. You know what I mean? But it's just such a weird thing where it's like you put a lot of time into like ideas that so a lot of them don't come out. You know what I mean? So that's also the thing with producers too. I think this is another little piece of advice, and something I'm actually even getting better at is like recycling ideas. Because remember that I was going to my laptop the other day and just looking at all these ideas that I have in there. Because I got hit up to send in some pitch for an artist, and he's like, "Yo, can you send beats for this artist? I'm in the studio with him right now." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." And I was just going through my whole production world, looking for shit I have that could fit this realm. And I ended up going through session songs that I did with other artists that just didn't happen 2 years ago that we just had ideas. I'm like, cool, I'm taking this. And I would just go and take their vocal out, send the beat to someone else. And like, if let's say this new artist then say, I love this, I want this, or I want this little idea of it. Cool. Then we can figure out the splits of the whole thing after. I'll cut that other artist in and say, hey, you get pub on this now. But that's also part of the production is recycling ideas and stealing from your own shit. You know what I mean? And using those assets to work for you. Because just because it doesn't mean it's dead because it didn't come out. It's just you can still repurpose it. You know what I mean? And turn it into something else. And I think that's really important to do. And
Absolutely.
Steal from yourself, That's a good little nuance.
Yeah. While you were giving the analogy of the architect earlier, another analogy hit me, which I hope it sounds as good coming out of my mouth as it does in my head, but I think it might resonate with people. The analogy is, what if you go and hire a contractor to build a house for you? And they draw out the plans. And now you're breaking ground. You're starting to build this house. At the time of building that house, you owe money. You owe the money that the contractor is building this house with. They're not just like fronting all of the money to build this house.
Yeah.
You owe 30, 40, 50% of whatever the building cost is going to be. You get it from the bank, but there's money due at the time of building. If you're a producer, you are building a house. But then, this is how far this analogy can go. Now, the house is done and livable. But you are the label or the artist, and you're like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to live there.
Yeah.
And you just walk away and you don't pay for it.
Yep.
That is how it is whenever you have fully fleshed out a track and it is ready to go. It is a perfect house. And then it's not paid for.
Yeah. I've had multiple sessions to finish a song, hours and hours, and just like stressful moments to finish a song that they're like didn't even come out. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. But that's also kind of art too. You need to like see an idea through, but I think it's weird. Like, why do we do that? And then to take it one step further, that's just producers. Songwriters don't even get paid a fee.
Yes.
Now, I will say, producers, in my opinion, are doing a lot more of the heavy lifting, especially producer-songwriters like myself. Like, I actively participate in the songwriting of a song and also bringing that song to life and making it a thing. There's a lot more heavy lifting in that than what a songwriter is doing. But the song wouldn't be a thing without a songwriter.
For sure.
And I think it's fucked that the producer is the only one that gets a fee. And I really think there should be a songwriting fee. And I think with bigger writers there are, but it should be more standard. Say, hey, listen guys, if we have, you're a small artist and you have $1,000 to pay a producer, I think there should be $1,000 to pay a songwriter. And let's say that's the pool. We have a $2,000 budget, half for songwriter, half for production. And there's 2 producers in the song and 3 songwriters. Great. Split that up. 1,000 for the producers, 1,000 for the songwriters. Or they can decide amongst themselves how they want to do it. I just think there should be a fee associated with songwriting. Because it's kind of the weird thing. What's his name? Oak Felder. Or is it Oak Felder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Oak Felder. He heard this thing where he like, I think it was him who made this analogy. It was like, he kind of used the house analogy, but he was like, imagine as a songwriter, you only get paid for that house if it's an award-winning house and very famous house. Because that's how songwriters literally get paid only on royalties.
Right.
So they're like, yeah, you could write this, you could build 100 houses, but the only one that like really cashes you out is like, oh yeah, I have this one famous house that everyone knows about. So now I get paid for that one.
Yeah.
It's like, but all these other ones you just don't get paid for. It's like, oh yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah, it's like a churn and burn.
$4 a year because of fucking shit ass royalty rate. And it's just like, what? Like, I don't know. It's weird. The music industry is kind of fucked in that sense. And especially now, like, there's so much more money being made. Like, this whole thing, like, oh, like, guys, pirating isn't an issue anymore. The music industry is back. The music industry is making more money than it ever has before.
Absolutely.
We can pay people. It's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the majors are making there's significant billions.
There's budgets for this, believe it or not. Just fucking pay people. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I don't know. There's definitely, I'm noticing a shift in that. You know what I mean? And like people like standing up for this shit. Well, I'm on my rant and on my soapbox. We need more women producing. 4% of producers are women. But like majority of them are songwriters. Even if you think just on a structure basis, if 96% of producers are men and majority of songwriters are women, who gets paid the fee?
Yeah. Wow, what a gender shift there with money.
Right?
I didn't even think about that.
About that.
Great point.
Right? Just inherently the way this business is built, men are getting paid when women aren't getting paid because of their job title. And it's like, why? You know what I mean? And it's this kind of weird thing too for me because like and like I feel guilty sometimes even taking a fee because it's like, and often it's this dance too, because it's like the songwriter could literally be there for a day or for 3 hours and they would write the song, cool, it's done, they leave. They get to go home. I have to finish the song that night. I have to do, 4 to 5 rounds of notes, different sessions with the artist to get the song over the top, export stems, build the files. It's a lot of other shit that I'm doing on top of it to make it over the top. So I think a fee is valid. And I think there's a lot of shit that a producer does beyond that validates them getting paid a fee. But I think there should totally be like some thing like, hey, if this song comes out, even if it's like $150, hey, you were there that day writing the song, here's $150 for the 3 hours you were there.
For sure.
Like, or $1,000 because it's like, whatever. It's scaled up with the budget of the artist. Like, I think that should totally be a thing. And it's this weird thing. I'm like, should it come out of the producer budget? No, I don't think it should come out of the producer budget. I think it should come out of the label budgets. Like, open up more money. It's okay. Like, that's a team member, So
I think that's a perfect point. And I really hope that anybody listening to this understands a little bit more deeply kind of the grand scope of making a track and what goes into it behind the scenes.
So that's my little soapbox rant on the music industry and the shit that's unfair,
So I'm curious to know kind of do you have a track that you worked on? Maybe it wasn't even one that came out and had success that way, but a track in mind that you worked on that felt like a seismic shift in hobby career?
Not really. Well, kind of actually. I think there was a time, more of an era. I remember I was doing some production work on like the Trevor Daniel album. And then also around the same time, the Lauren Sanderson album. And I just remember like those, like me and Colie were doing a bunch of stuff with them. And I just remember just kind of like noticing myself level up in like vibe selections and like just, I don't know, like, sound selection and just kind of like, I don't know, the sonic aesthetic of things and just getting better at that kind of vibe. And just operating a session and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, like, I think it's just also at the time I was just doing it a lot. I was like, the pace at which I was operating was just faster. You know what I mean? I was just kind of like getting after it. And I think that was just kind of a shift. But yeah, I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still figuring out how to do it. My big thing now is like, I feel like I'm going through that right now with operating more on feeling than I am thinking. And this is a practice. But this is something I urge producers and any creatives really to do is like, don't think about what you're doing and just feel it a lot more than thinking. Even like the song we just worked on, I probably sound like a fucking psychopath calling you and giving you notes. Like, I'm like, listen, I know this is incorrect and this song is too loud and it's distorting, but I love it because it feels better to me and I don't want to think about it too much. And like, we literally, for reference, we had Austin mix our last record and like he did his first initial mix on it and I called him like, go back to the demo and just elevate it. And he did, and he crushed it. But because I didn't want to lose that initial feeling that it gave me. And I just realized like chasing the feeling is far more important than chasing like the idea or like the technical aspect of something. And yeah. And even like just, it's hard when you're looking at a screen and there's so many colors and things to look at, knobs and graphs and like buttons. And you're like, okay, there's so many things you're like, I could change this, but like, do I need to? Or like, what does it feel like? And closing your eyes and just like, okay, like, how does this feel to me right now? And checking in on yourself. That's a big thing. Checking in like throughout the session is like, how does this melody feel? How does this chord progression feel? How does the tempo feel? And just like little things like that. And like, I've just kind of been diving into that. And even when I'm making instrumentals and beats and shit like that, like, God, chasing that fucking high of a good feeling song. Oh my God. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, you really said it. We're referring to your next single that already has a date, and I'm not sure when this episode is going to come out. But
We already announced it. May 19th is the next song. This episode could come out after Dying to Be You. If it's out or hasn't come out yet, tease.
Yes.
Yeah.
And fucking amazing track.
Thank you.
But yeah, whenever I heard it, I already knew. You had told me we literally made this. Wait, you are listening to basically a day one with a couple changes because like you guys nailed the vibe.
Yeah, we literally just, it was the project I sent you was the day one project. Like this is what it is. This is the one we've been listening to. And generally like you go through fucking like 40 different versions of a song, like little edits. And I'm just, for this one, I was like, no, keep it.
Yeah.
The only thing we changed is we changed a lyric. We just literally actually eliminated a lyric and made it even simpler. It just had a lyric repeat twice and we just doubled the vocals.
Yep.
That's like, okay, cool. But the song, we just didn't change shit. Didn't even touch the mix on my end. Just like, this is what it is. And then I want to send it to you. We just like, I want it to be this. Just elevate it. Just clean it up slightly.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah. And that's the way it ended up. It's just cleaned up slightly. And then we went through some fun revisions on like vocal timing and tuning, which just elevated the record. But my first like instinct was I want this bass to be cleaner so that we can make it just louder and bigger. But the fucked up, distorted low end, that stereo,
the cacophony.
Yeah, it is the rawness that you're looking for. And
sometimes the fucked up accidents are the things that make the song. Literally the best moments I've ever had in like production, I feel like are always the moments where I'm like, I did not mean to do that. That was so not what I was trying to do, but that sounds fucking ridiculous. We're keeping it. It's crazy. And that's the beauty of it. Not thinking about it, just doing it and feeling that felt amazing, keep it, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. So now I want to figure out, because we just basically did an entire record together.
Mm-hmm.
You EP'd the Lauren Gray album.
Yep.
You produced all the tracks with basically a core group of friends.
Yes.
I got to
Pink Slip, Inverness, Beepus, Colie, Dasha, Amelia
McKay,
Moore. Yeah, Amelia Moore, McKay, Stevens, McGregor, Leo. God, who else is on here? Josh Golden. Fuck, I feel like I'm forgetting. Lauren Gray, obviously. You. I feel like I'm forgetting some of this. So many fucking people. There's like two different writing camps with so many different people coming through.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
So, two questions here. Like, first of all.
Oh, J-Bach.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
J-Bach. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. How did you meet Lauren? We'll start with that.
Met Lauren. She came. I got set up somehow, just manager shit. You know, I think like, hey, you know, she was looking for different producers and got thrown in with me. And then me and Colie just did a session with her. So the song Let Down was the first song we ever made together.
Really?
Which made the record. And and I think how Lauren and I hit it off is I just listened to her, and she was coming out of a situation where like she was kind of forced to do a bunch of stuff she didn't want to do, like genre wise with her old label. And I think she literally told me, she's like, you're the first producer that listens to what I want to do. But I'm like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? Like, that's the fucking job. Literally listening to the artist's vibe and just adding my sauce to it, to their vibe, to elevate their vision. And like, I think it's just this, and I think she just fucked with the fact that I listened to her, and I like, you know, could have kind of like a big brother relationship with her. You know what I mean? I grew up with two little sisters too, so it's like, I always connect to girls very easily. Like, find myself like befriending girls sometimes easier than guys. Like, I just vibe with, like, I just feel like at home. It's like, okay, cool. Like, you're like a sister kind of vibe. Like, it's easy for me to just get along.
That actually,
with women, you know,
you saying that, I actually think that I get along with women much better. And I've always been curious about that. And I wonder if it's because I do have a younger sister.
Yeah.
Who, I'm going to be honest, we're
Yeah, you guys are tight. You know, it's like
well, we're tight, but we smack heads.
Oh,
like,
really?
But like
but
in
I
a
think
loving
that
way.
also that it builds character. Like you understand how, like I didn't have a brother to my reference. I never like had to deal with that shit. But I don't know. I was always around women and like just like okay, I just kind of understand the vibe, and it's easy for me to relate to them and like show up in a way that like you know and just respect women and like you guys are like I don't know. I just never like the toxic. I just try. Like, I really try. Hopefully, I'm not this way, but like, I really try to not have the toxic masculinity aspects of things, and just like, really, I really value women. I think like the world doesn't value them enough. But I think a big part of that is because I grew up with that. I'm like, it's been an integral part of my life. My mom is an integral part of me being here, as we discussed. You know what I mean? And it's just like, so I don't know. Long story short. With Lauren, I'm like, why would I not listen to you? What the fuck are you talking about? This is your vision, you know? And I respect your opinion. And I think she just liked that. And we just hit it off. And yeah, here we are. So
yeah, I have to say that I think of all the albums, like from start to finish I've worked on, I think that those tracks are the best. And what I mean by best, let me
thank you.
Let me dude, I mean it's amazing working with you. And now like I think as the album went on, like we have absolutely locked in on how we work together. Figuring out just if I get your project, like it's so simple. It saves you time. It saves me time. But then I really understand the fundamentals of what's going into the track. It's much more simple. But what I mean by best is just like sound selection, the track selection, the overall sonics, the way that each track makes you feel. I mean, cohesively, really, I think it's the best thing that I've ever worked on.
Hell yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of a hodgepodge of a record. There's like moments of like Black Eyed Peas kind of vibe, like pop songs, then like EDM moments, and then like straight just like folk songs.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. But I love the fact that it all blends together. And yeah, honestly, really proud of that record. Like it's one of those records where it's like, I worked on things where I'm like, cool, I'm down to work on this. Like, I don't necessarily feel like this is something I would listen to all the time. Like, it's just, cause sometimes just like the artist wants it a different way and you're like, okay, cool, let's go that way. And I just have a different opinion about things and whatever. And that's fine. Like but I still want to see their vision through. And I just not something I would always listen to all the time, but I'm like still proud to have worked on it. You know what I mean? But then this record is something I'm like, I genuinely like, I'm like, cool, I'm excited this is out so I can add these songs to my playlist so I can listen to these songs. Cause I feel like it was like I was making these songs for myself in a way. I'm like, this is what I want. This is what I want to hear, you know? So
yeah. I mean, so we went to her birthday album release party thing and the tracks played from start to finish.
Yeah.
And
that was so cool to hear that.
Legitimately, I was like, fuck, I love all these songs.
What's your favorite one? Or two. You can pick two.
Yeah, I think the Letdown for sure, but I'm trying to remember the one song name,
Until Hell Freezes Over?
Yes.
I think Until Hell Freezes Over is also definitely one of my favorites.
Dude, that's a banger.
So good. And Enough for You.
Great song.
How much of me is enough for you? It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's that one. And Predictable. Also Predictable slaps.
But see, like this is the thing.
They're
really it's a really great album. I hope everybody goes and listens, and now that you've heard from Bardo.
That was actually one of the first steps. I'm like, oh, I love the executive production role. That's eventually what I want to like really step into is like I want to find my own like a little prodigy Bardo, like my guy that just can do a lot of like the heavy lifting stuff. But I like want to be more of like, hey, let's like, I want to oversee this, especially because as we get busier with touring and like, I mean, already now I'm just like, we're literally just got off a 2-month tour and we're about to leave in like 4 days for another 2-month tour.
With many other stacked behind it.
Yeah, exactly. With other shit lined up, you know what I mean? So it's like,
festivals,
and
Chase Atlantic, Maggie Lindemann.
Yeah, exactly. Or Stain Atlantic.
Oh, Stain Atlantic. What did I say?
Chase Atlantic.
Wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Stain Atlantic.
Yeah. Stain Atlantic, yes. But yeah, just like, other things on the, really cool stuff. So thankful for it. And also like how do you balance being a producer and also like being an artist, and anyways, yeah, I think that's really something I like have been diving into is like, what does that look like for me in like the overall executive production role where like could be a thing like, hey, here's this idea that I have. It's a sample, it's a loop, and I put these elements on top of it. I want to give it to you, and I want you to add your stuff, and I want to give it to you, and you add your stuff, and then bring it back, and I'm gonna then ship it off to this person to like seal the deal on it, and it becomes something that it is. And I like that fascinates me, and like the slow burn on these things and the progress of things. I've had songs that like were written for something totally different that end up with someone else that like becomes something different. But it's like those, like it may be a 2-year long process of it shifting and evolving into something else. You know what I mean? It's like, it's how it goes,
Yeah.
Swap the drums out, change the vibe, but like the core idea was there and it becomes this other thing, So yeah, that's kind of what I'm stepping into now.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we're going to fast forward.
Okay.
Let's say that you have hit the ceiling as far as your music career can go. Because I totally think that you guys will sell out Madison.
What does that even mean though? I don't think there ever is a ceiling.
So I'll paint the ceiling for you.
Okay.
You sell out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
It really doesn't get much bigger than that. And there are ways that it can get bigger.
Like Post Malone like level, like just like we're like one of the notable artists, like top 100 artists.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like.
Even if we talked about MGK.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Let's just say as big as he is, which is tremendously big.
Yeah.
You guys hit that. And you're also executive producing albums that are fulfilling you.
Yeah.
What else is there? And what I'm kind of alluding to here is we had this little joking moment, but kind of serious that I threw out acting.
Yeah. I really want to act. Really, really, really want to act. I want to act, but I really want to play the villain in things. I love that kind of like, I think it would be fun for my personality type because I'm sure I'm kind of an eccentric person and I get very passionate about things. And
Captain Ramble.
Yes, Captain Ramble. And I think it'd be so fun to channel that energy into like just this like devious kind of like the Joker type personality characters. Because I think for me it's like that'd be so fun and like what a cool way to like. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm gonna play the villain. Like I want to be the fucking bad guy in this. Like I want to be the fucking over the top character.
Do you have a favorite Joker? I don't. I mean, everybody. Hey, don't look at
Jared Leto. No, fuck no. I'm just kidding. No, Heath Ledger. Are you kidding me? He is the Joker. Like that is like one of the best performances ever, in my opinion, of acting history.
Do you hate me if Joaquin is by far my favorite?
Really?
Absolutely.
No, dude. Heath Ledger is goated.
He is, and it was incredible. And then Joaquin happened.
Joaquin, it was good. He was really good. He was really good. But just something about Heath Ledger's performance, I just was so like, oh my God. Like it was like soul shaking. Like that just is the Joker. It was inspiring for me. It's like, I just want to do some shit like that where it's like, wow, this is just so. But Joaquin Phoenix, like honestly, yeah, same kind of vibe, but just like.
It's just a different thing. Like,
different. I just resonated with Heath Ledger's performance more. But.
Yeah. I think that Joaquin, his performance, there's so much empathy that might be the wrong word here. I can actually put myself in that position and just see like how this.
Yeah, it was a cool origin. It was a cool origin story of like, wow, honestly, great film, amazing film. But yeah, I just think it'd be fun, like channeling that energy, the insane. Because I don't feel like I get to do that all the time. Like I feel like in a way you have to repress those crazy moments where like, fuck, you just want to scream or like you just want to feel that energy and like let it go. And I feel like if I was playing the villain, I could just be that character that just fucking unleashes feelings and just opens the floodgates and like just go over the top,
Yeah, without a doubt.
I think that'd be really fun. So I actually talked to one of the agents on our team. He does like all the crossover stuff for like music and then like film and TV. And like I pitched him and I'm like, this is what I want to do. Planted the seed. So right now I'm obviously, there's a lot on my plate. So it's not like the forefront of my mind, but if something came up, fuck yeah. So
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that the world does open as you guys get more of a spotlight.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's, yeah, I mean, I brought up Jack Harlow. He seems to be like a very hot topic right now. But really, I mean, so, now he's going to be in this White Boy Can't Jump show and crossing over from music to that. But it makes it much, I'm sure more seamless. I don't know.
Yeah.
But more seamless once you
yeah.
have a platform.
Oh, definitely. And I think further go into like other things I want to do. I want to I love food. I would love to like have a restaurant or like something of the sorts, a compound. I don't even know what the fuck. Or like we were talking about like what that we want, what you're talking about. This could turn into.
Yeah.
I think that's stuff like this. Just coming up with shit like that interests me. Like ideas beyond music. I'm a producer of life. You know what I mean? It's more than just music and things. I love creating shit. That's why I love producing. Like I want to like create things.
The passion is
just yeah, like I don't care what the fuck it is. Like I just love ideas and seeing ideas come to life. And yeah, just
I think this is honestly why I resonate with you so much, because that's me.
Yeah.
I used to produce, but I have moved on to other things because I felt that my gifts or whatever my passion is aligned with other things, but I just want to create.
Yeah.
That's why we're here talking.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I don't think that either of us know the waves that an episode like this can create.
Yeah.
Somebody or tens or hundreds of people who watch and feel like they have to go and create.
Exactly. Also, really good point to go off of that. I heard this recently. Tyler, the Creator, had this like interview, and he was like, "You never know." It's easy to get caught up in like, "Oh, yeah, it only has 5 views or whatever." But Tyler was making the point where like he's found so many artists that way, where like he literally finds them and they have like 100 views on a video. But Tyler, the Creator, is one of those 100 views, and he's like, "You never know who is watching," and it's like it's not about the amount of views; it's like about the potency of those views.
I mean, I guess I'll say mine first so that you can kind of hear an example.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this earlier, and this has been a goal for a very long time. First of all, this podcast has been a goal for a very long time, but I personally felt like I needed to get my mixing career and life in a point where financially I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start something
do
else.
It right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't, the vision that I had was something more grandiose, like a room like this. But now that this is rolling, the 5-year plan, I've always wanted to have a coffee and breakfast spot, and really a hole in the wall.
Grounds for success.
Shout out. And I have also wanted to have like a hole in the wall bar that serves like stellar fucking wings, but not like ones with garnish on top, just the sloppy good ones, you know?
Should we do a little brainstorm session we were just having when we were walking down here? About the grounds for success thing? Yeah.
So I'll throw out the idea that I had and then how you used your marketing wild brain. So the idea for anybody who's listening that, wants to make this a reality one day is I want to have a coffee shop that serves damn good breakfast. And when I mean that, like, so I saw
legit weird shit too.
Yeah, I'm
esoteric. Like, why just bagel and cream cheese? Why not some wild shit on that bagel?
I'm down with that. I got to see you on tour in Austin, so we happened to be there at the same time. And I'm from Dallas.
Austin.
Exactly. And dude, some of the breakfast that I had there was just insane.
Yeah,
it's insanely good.
Food is life changing.
It is. So some kind of like Southern breakfast food with like fun twists, but a very small menu. So we do it right. Yeah. And then...
Can I pause for 2 seconds? I have to pee so bad.
Again? We're back. Bardo.
It's such a cool vibe in here. It's like, how cool would that be to replicate this whole style? But I mean, so much of like a cafe is like the network and like getting to hang out at a place with like other like-minded people. And like, I feel like if people in our circle were to open something like this, it would generate a vibe of like other music industry people and entertainment industry people circulating in that area. Like, how cool would it be to like have a membership aspect to this thing, right? But it's not like absurd. I mean, even if it's like $20 a month or whatever it is, or like, but just have it's kind of like a workplace where you can go. It's a vibe, but cheap coffee once you're in. It's not like, Soho House where like it's membership and also it's aggressively expensive.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, no, it's like, hey, it was real. Like membership to get in, but then it's like really reasonable once you're in. And then great food, great coffee, great vibes. I still like the ticketing thing for outside, like for, guests can come in with tickets, memberships can just come in and reserve the spot, That's fucking cool. But then also just, it was referral based. So you can't get in unless someone refers you. I think that's really cool. I mean, granted, you can do whatever you want with it, but I think that it's such a vibe where like creates this space where like, oh, I would pull up to this thing and like, I would work here. I would exist here. I would, work this into my schedule during the week to just stop at this place, to just hang out and see who else I see. Cause it's like, there's a community aspect of it. The community aspect of stuff is, I think, the crucial in like business development.
Totally.
Especially now.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's so many, especially for a coffee shop, there are so many freaking options.
Oh, yeah.
What makes you go to one place over another?
Yeah.
It's location. So it'd have to be a good location, but there has to be more. It can't just be great coffee because let's be honest, I'm one of the probably only people who really gives a fuck about the notes of a coffee or this or that. Most people I bet are functional and they want it to not taste like shit.
Yeah.
But what else?
You want the vibe. You want like, okay, you feel good. It's feeling. Just like, why do we listen to a song? Because it's feeling. It feels good being there, existing at the coffee shop, and like the transaction of everything feels good. That's why I love the idea of like the memberships. Like you're a part of this thing. You're like, it feels good being a member. And when you're there, you're also not blowing your wallet on coffee. You're just like, yeah, it's great food, great coffee at a really reasonable price because it's offset by membership costs. One of the best feelings is why I love going on tour, because you go and you experience great food, but it's not crazy expensive because you're like in Milwaukee or something, or like or Oklahoma, and like you're just like, hey, this is, breakfast sandwich, like $7 to $8. And you're like, wait, what? This is $7 to $8, like for a really solid meal. Where here it's like $15 to $16 for the same thing. And it's just like, wait, what? Like, and it feels better when you're not overpaying for something. You know what I mean? Where it's like creating this thing that's like has great value to it. It's like,
you're so right about the value comparison, because that's unfortunately whenever I go to a place, I'm like, you know what? This is a great burger, but for $22 and then I have to buy the fries.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really taste that good.
Exactly. People I think are getting smarter about stuff. And it's like, I would rather have a situation where it's like the value is so there. It's a high quality product that serves the customer more so than anything, because you'll get more customers that way, and lifelong customers, versus like, yeah, we have a product, it's dope and it's also overpriced, versus like, no, this is the correct pricing. It feels good from like, because then it's like you don't feel guilty buying it. I'm going to come back and get this fucking burger because it's not overpriced. It's like Chipotle is like this.
Yeah.
Great deal, great food. It's just great. It's just like, look how successful Chipotle is.
They used to have memberships.
Really?
I don't know if they still do, but you used to get a black card. And if you came in, you could.
Yeah. They would give it to certain people and like they could like Chipotle for life. I think Lauren actually has one.
Yeah. Of those to be an influencer type thing.
Yeah, exactly. But shit like that. It's like,
I'm sorry, by the way, just being an influencer would not get a membership at this coffee place.
Yes.
I mean, it's about vibe.
Yes.
Also, I would love to set up areas where producers felt like they could bring their laptop and headphones and work.
Yeah, it'd be sick.
That'd be so cool. Like, I feel like this would be inspirational to a creator.
You can just have a little room, like you could book it out like online, say, hey, a little production room or a mixing room or something. Like, I love spaces that are like multi-use. It's just coffee and laptops. It's like coffee, laptops, podcast, production room, mixing room. Like, I don't know, you get a fucking you have a rooftop bar to just sunbathe if you want. I don't know, just a little vibe. Like, I think that's so cool. I think that would be a really, really cool spot.
Yeah, it is really cool. So for my last question,
Yeah.
something I've been wondering, I don't know how I don't know this answer, but I think it's going to help other people who are wanting to break through as a band just get noticed, get any kind of forward momentum going. But how did Beauty School Dropout start getting traction in LA? And before you answer that, for a while I had heard the band's name, and there was a point where it was like barely brought up, but I would hear it every now and then because I mean I am in like the alt scene in LA. But then there was like a seismic shift. Like I don't remember the day, but I do remember the day type thing where it was just like everybody was talking about BSD. It was like, yo, BSD's playing here. BSD's doing this. Like it just like became a thing. Like it was synonymous with LA, like that culture. And I was like, oh, fuck. Okay, that's awesome. And I still had not met you guys. I met Beepus at, I think it was Buzz's, Michelle Buzz, artist Buzz. Fucking love her.
Really dope. She actually just has a song. She had a, one of her songs came out on my Discover Weekly that I added to my playlist.
Statues. Incredible song. She produced the entire thing.
I can't remember what the name of it. I can't remember what the name of the song is. Fuck. It's like, there's no drums. It's like vocals. It kind of reminds me of like Imogen Heat.
That sounds like Liberation.
Yes, Liberation. That's the song. Amazing.
Insane
Buzz,
song.
Amazing song. You fucking crushed it. She produced that one too?
Yeah. I don't know if it's her and Lance.
Oh, yeah.
But amazing.
So good.
I love Buzz. But I think it was her Misfit release party. And Beepus and Royal and the Serpent, Royal, I'm just going to say Royal now. But Royal was there. And I just remember you guys had some Web3 stuff moving. And I went up to Beepus, and at that time he was just going by Brent. And we talked Web3, not about music really, just like about ideas in the future. And we had this heart-to-heart moment. And that is how I came into y'all's world. I then sat down and went to Dune with him, and we ate and we talked again.
Dune, the restaurant?
Yes.
I'm going to go there after this, I think.
No way. In Atwater?
I was like that. Oh, in Atwater?
There's one like right.
There's one downtown. Mediterranean food, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's one right in Atwater.
Well, there's one downtown.
Love it. That's where we went. And we, again,
so
just
their
like...
beet sandwich. My dad randomly met the owner of Dune backstage at Coachella.
No way.
And like, he brought me there. He's like, I wanted to introduce my friend at this restaurant that I met backstage at Coachella. I'm like, so random, but okay. And like,
he's a rock star to me. Dune is insanely good.
So good. Oh my God, yeah. Anyways,
but
continue.
So we just had a heart-to-heart there. And I said, hey man, I don't ever ask people for mixing work like to the artist. It's just like, sometimes I do, but not really. I was like, dude, what you guys are doing is so awesome. And I really love that music. I just mixed Maggie Lindemann's album, so I can dance in that world. If there's ever an opportunity, just remember. And like an entire year later, We Made Plans and God Laughed was ready to mix. And I had you guys over. And I took a stab at it, and luckily you guys dug it, and now we're here.
Yeah.
But I want to know how that seismic shift of barely hearing about BSD to one day I just could not hear BSD. What the hell happened?
That's crazy. I mean, also, that's also so cool for me to hear that that's the word on the street, that like it's synonymous in the culture. I'm like, that's cool. I just got giddy thinking about that. Because I think when you're so close to the flame, you constantly are feeling like, am I even doing the right thing? Am I good enough? I'm like, is anything we're doing actually hitting people? You know what I mean? So it's really cool to hear that. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's really cool to hear and makes me really excited. So
I really think that's true. And especially whenever Royal became in your circle, you guys together is I mean, that is kind of...
It's a crew.
Yeah.
You know? It's a family. Okay, so there's a couple layers to this. A, less is more. And like scarcity is like actually a really powerful tool. And I think for us, what we did a good job at early on, and this is really props to Colie, our vocalist. He has been very connected in like different scenes in LA, and he's like a very social butterfly, the kind of Cupid character, connecting people. And he's really good at like, he understands the less is more mentality. And early on, the shows, like our first show ever 2 years ago in May, like literally almost to the date, like this next month, like is our first show 2 years ago.
Holy shit.
Was at the like after hours show. It was like mid-COVID after hours show at this vintage shop called Haven House out on La Brea. And our friends owned it, and they were throwing these kind of like underground like punk shows after hours, and just they would invite their friends, open bar or whatever, just kind of like a vibe. Like it was mid-COVID, so we used that as an opportunity. Like, look, people are going to want to do something. We also knew that there was kind of a built-in audience from them doing these shows here, but we knew how to like game it, where it's like we didn't want to do the traditional route of like, we're doing a showcase or fucking whatever. It's like, no, like we're going to do this underground shit that felt raw and fun, and it was packed the fuck out. And even if like, truthfully, at the time, even if 20% of the people in that room were there for us and everyone else was there for just the party and like, because a friend invited them or like they're friends of the store owners or whatever, it was packed and it was a vibe and it was something to do. And we gamed it where it's like, we then gave us that room full of people and we delivered a fucking performance for them. And everyone left being like, oh, that was cool. And then they talked about it. So the next show we did, Harvard and Stone, same thing. We ran the show. It was like we had the control over it because our good friend Mark Houston, who owns like Harvard and Stone, No Vacancy, Good Times, Davey Wayne's, like those bars, like just the fun, just like dope bars in LA. Him and his brother, they, good friend of our management team, and he's like, just do something, and he's a big fan of the band. He's like, just have fun, throw your own shit. And we like took control and threw our own shit. We curated the evening. We didn't have any openers. It was just us. First two shows, no openers, just us. It was curated BSD. And we, again, invited everyone at that point. I think there was a little bit of hype of like, oh, the last show was dank. Don't miss this one. People came out, and then like we delivered a great performance. Even those free shows, we weren't charging for tickets. It was like, we did it for the culture, for the community, and delivered on that. And that was 2 shows in. And then we did another one that was like a homie's birthday party who's very connected in the scene. And like, he's like, I want you guys to play my birthday party. And we're like, down. And I think there was like lines out the door to get into this event, but like people couldn't even get in. There's people who like showed up and waited all night and still didn't even get in. But the beauty of that was like, even though it wasn't even our event, the word was like, oh, that was a Beauty School Dropout show. And you couldn't get into the Beauty School Dropout show because the line was too long. And so it kind of became this thing of like, oh, it's hard to get into these things. So we provided these events and these experiences for free for the culture, but very periodically. It wasn't like we're playing a show every weekend. And like, I think there's a power in like less is more. And like, it's the in and out method versus McDonald's, and like our menu has 4 things on it, and that's what it is. And they are $8 versus $4 for a burger, but it's a really good burger. You know what I mean? Or it's reasonable, but it's like, this is our culture, and we've built this culture, and like we own it. We're not selling it off to other people. Like, this is our culture. And we've always had that mindset early on. That was always the thesis. And we stuck to our guns with it. And yeah, I think, and then we got the blessing of getting to go on tour with Royal as her band on her tour, and she was gracious enough to let us play Starfucker in the set because we had a song together. And we were the opening band's band on that tour. And even now at our shows on tour, we still have people come up to us like, I found you guys through being the opening band's band, which is crazy. It's like, wow, okay, that's cool. And so really props to Royal. She put us on early on, really believed in us early on when she didn't need to, but she did. She saw something and she believed in us. And
I mean, and she continuously plays Starfucker with you guys.
Yeah, still does.
And
Starfucker is a banging song.
It is.
Yeah.
And everybody sings along. But the coolest thing is every time that I hear her get on the mic after that track or after a show, like I'll just say the Grammy party, she will say, "You guys are some lucky motherfuckers to see these guys in a small venue because they're going to be world fucking famous one day. Just remember that." And every time I hear her say that, it's pretty fucking cool because somebody who's played really, really big shows like Rock in Rio with Demi, like holy hell.
Yeah, massive show. She played Coachella, like
Coachella. I mean,
big shit. Royal is an icon, and I'm so thankful that she believes in us the way she does. And I believe in her. She's truly one of the coolest artists out there doing it.
Absolutely.
And like, it's so cool. Dude, yeah, I just feel blessed. I don't know. So back to the playbook, I guess. I think that less is more. Value yourself and like do good art, and just art is God, and like don't sacrifice good art. It has to be good music. It has to be good art. And be a good person and just be kind to people. That's something we've always been really like keen on, is like we want to be the biggest band in the world, and at the same time be a band that even if we're like selling out Madison Square Garden, everyone down to the catering person is like, they are truly kind people. And like, they give a shit. They're like, I don't want to lose that. I really fucking hope we don't lose that. And like, I just want to be kind to people and like, and be great, show gratitude and like gracious, and it goes a long way. And it really like being a real person to others, and like, yeah, it shows up. Even, and also I divulge, or I digress into another thing that happened early on is Colie and I were doing a lot of writing for other artists when we were building the band, and we actually used that as kind of like a little alley-oop. We started using like the Beauty School Dropout as a production like credit on songs that we produced.
I have seen that.
So we'd be like, hey, if like me and Colie produced the song, it'd be like me, Bardo and Colie, and Beauty School Dropout on the song as producers. And even just getting the foot in the door, and like it was always like another thing, or even finessing a feature on something like early on, and just, I don't know, being a part of it and just like adding value to things. And I don't know, believing in ourselves also, like we just like always believed in ourselves, just like, that we are going to be the biggest band in the world, and it's like, why can't we? And we're still working at it, and we're still on our way. But I'm so confident in what we're doing, and very thankful that we get to do it.
Yeah, man. I'm thankful to be a part of it. I certainly believe that you guys will be that. And I'm glad to be able to watch you guys do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of it. Truly.
Absolutely. It's a dream. Dude, thank you so much for being here, having a freaking awesome conversation about so many different things, and unzipping and zipping zippers, and throwing around ideas, and letting us see a little snapshot into your rambling mind, Captain Ramble, which I love.
Ramble.
All of the ramble is great.
Feel free to cut the rambles, but that's me.
Dude, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Seriously, this was a lot of fun.
Okay, so now that you've listened to this episode, I'm sure that there's like so many funny moments and awesome key takeaways, but ultimately I hope you understand more about who Beauty School Dropout is, what they stand for, how they came together and all had unique networks and skills, and how it's just like the perfect culmination of people to be in a band to attract the eyes of First Wire, like Sherry and Mark Hoppus, Pete Wentz, all these people who believe in this band and how it's really taken them to where they are today. Some of the key takeaways, I would love to talk about the "your energy makes your day" story. Bardo was talking to a woman while they were on tour, just waiting for some food, and she asked him if he was happy. And she basically went into the story about how your energy creates your life, your day. And what he took away from it is whatever room or opportunity or anything that he walks into, he wants to bring the best energy possible, like happy, passionate, stoked on life energy. And he believes that, and I believe too, that you will feel better, but also it will make those around you feel better. If they're down, it will lift them up. I thought that the story about how this came into his life was so awesome, and I hope you do too. I loved that he says, success is not a destination, it's the journey. And I feel like that's what this podcast is really about. It's about highlighting the journeys to success. It's not so much about the success itself. And me personally, I am on that journey. I have had some success and I'm able to pay for my life in music, but I'm on the road and I'm trying my best to enjoy every step. And sometimes that's difficult. And I think this podcast is a way to reflect through others that journey. I loved this line. He said, everything you do builds up your price tag. And that really resonated with me because we have to choose as creators or as a mixer and master which projects we take on at a certain point. Work comes in very quickly sometimes, and you only have so much time. You have to choose the projects that resonate with you, the ones that will move your career forward, the ones that build a better relationship. And I do think that, everything that we work on builds our price tag or it lowers your price tag. And you just have to be selective and, you need to know your worth, but you also need to know what can help you out. I love this line, be a cockroach and keep going. That was his line on how to continue forward through difficult things. I thought that was hilarious. But ultimately, whenever you listen or watch this episode, I think that the biggest thing about Bardo is his passion. Like, dude exudes passion all the time. And I feel like he doesn't talk about shit he doesn't care about. He is just like in this video, you should watch it. He's just bouncing around and using his hands like crazy because he's so passionate about the things he's talking about. And I think that above all else, passion will take you far in life. It will just magnetically bring people into your life that resonate with what you're talking about, or somebody that you're talking to and you're just exuding passion about it. That person they won't be able to help but think about the people they know that they could connect you with that maybe you will have an equal passion about. I really think that most everything in my life has happened because I talk passionately about the things I care about. I unapologetically talk about the things I love at a heightened level because it just gets me so excited to talk about it that I think it's magnetically pulled people into my life. And I felt like Bardo is the same person as me in that. So I wanted to highlight that. And lastly, always believe in yourself. Believe in yourself above all else, in the things that you are passionate in, the things that you do. And this goes hand in hand with the last point is like, if you do not believe in yourself wholeheartedly in what you are doing, how can somebody else? There was a great thing that happened, or great thing that Midi said in his podcast about some particular person telling talent, who do you want to be? And that person paused and did not have an answer. They hadn't figured it out yet. And the person who asked that question was like, stop, don't worry. I'm not going to sign you today. You may have all this passion and this and that about what you're doing, but you don't believe in it yet, and that's okay. But go and find that and come back. And what I'm saying here is that if you don't believe in yourself so wholeheartedly that the person across from you completely understands and has confidence in you, you're hindering your ability to move forward. So have that confidence and be able to back it up, of course, but you've got to believe in yourself. And I know Bardo does, and I know BSD does, and I know that that's why they're having the success that they're having. So thanks for listening to this episode I hope you took so much away from it. Catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening to the Grounds for Success podcast. I want to thank all of the people who work on this podcast and help me out. My team is everything to me, and without them, I couldn't bring these to you every single week. I couldn't post on social media, with all the clips that we have, and so I thank you guys so much. I want to also thank all of my clients on the mixing and mastering side, because without you, I could not have Grounds for Success. So thank you so much. If you're enjoying the Grounds for Success podcast, please follow, like, and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening or watching on. It helps us out a ton, and I want to keep getting this content to you in whichever way you listen or watch.